Welcome traders, welcome to the Trade Setup live stream. My name is Braden Gardner. It's the 2nd of March and we're kicking along nicely today. A big night in the US overnight, as you all probably know by now, and the market's opened up quite strong. I think it opened up around 40 to 50 like we expected, but it's kicked on another 10 or 15 points. So all looking rosy today. Most things will be in the green at the moment, so we'll take a look at that in a minute. Just to kick it off, as per usual, we'll just go through a bit of housekeeping here. If you're new to the actual stream or you're watching it later, and if you like what you enjoy, feel free to leave us a like at the end of the video, or even leave a comment if you've got a couple of questions, and we'll get back to you there. You can join us at on the top left-hand corner. You see our Twitter address there. You can join us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, or join us on Facebook. Also, down the bottom right-hand corner, I've got my mic in the way, is the YouTube channel down the bottom right. So you'll get notified every time we actually go live. All right. So what we're going to chat about today, and what we discussed on Monday, was what we want to get up and running is a bit of competition, a bit of friendly competition between traders about what we're looking at and why we're looking at it. And I think that's a great way just to get the education going and just getting people looking at different things and sort of understanding what you look at and why you look at it, and just see where your edge is. So I think it's always good to see that for different traders. Obviously, all the stuff I do, you'll see on the stream or you can go to TradeSetup, the website there, and you can see all our results and see what we're trading, and anything that actually takes your fancy there, any trades that we've done in the past that you want to have a bit of a chat about. I've got all the charts from when we first alerted to when we decided to close and so on, so I can go through any of that with you, just to explain why we got in, if it helps. So if there's some charts that you want to send through, even if you're having you seem to be consistently having a little problem with entries or the way you're viewing it, and you seem to be getting caught a few times and then getting it right, just send through a chart if you like. It doesn't have to be any quantities as such. Just mark up on the chart where you got in and why, and we can discuss why, and then send it through to support@tradesetup.com.au. Anyway, guys, let's get into it. We've got one I'll take a look at. One I'll take a look at later is from Clement. He sent through a little recommendation on MSN, and you'll see he's sending through some really nice little setups, and he seems to be understanding it quite well. So we'll go through that in a minute, and go through just a couple of that I'm looking at, and also some currencies. We'll take a look at one currency alert we sent out the other day, and it's I think it would have been hard pressed to get a better setup or get it more to the T. So we'll take a look at that anyway. Let's get into it then. This is just it's daily chart there. All right, what we can see, the XJR, we'll just get that up now. It's kicked on quite strong. So we closed somewhere around the 5,700 mark yesterday, and we're up about 62 points at the moment. Opened up and just kicked on from there, so it's looking good. Potentially that's a nice little rejection below 57. We'll have to see how that plays out. It is well oversold when you're looking at it. If we just enlarge that, you can see that's this little rejection below 5,700 yesterday, and you can see it probably down on the, if we can get down to the 30-minute chart. Don't ask me why I put my microphone right in front of my face there. You can see this type of price action here, which sold off yesterday, made that low, bounced back up, and then come back down and retested that low. It was only really a minor, but it rejected that. It's roughly around 56.75. Rejected that quite nicely, and then took off into the close. So, and then today we've just opened up strong, and it's all really on the back of Trump comments and what his look. I think the good thing it was a lot more measured than what people expected. I think a lot of people thought he was getting a bit out of hand with what he was saying and all his rhetoric. And then he's come out as a bit more measured to Congress, and I think they took that as a nice positive. So he didn't say anything. He didn't release anything. He didn't, say anything much of note. It's just, I think the way he spoke and what he was talking about, again, was talking it up a bit. So the markets took that as a good positive. And it's the thing is too, they've had some good inflationary figures out in the US. So that's going to put a bit of pressure. I mean, if you're talking going forward, that should be putting a bit of pressure on the market if there's looking like there's more interest rate rises. especially considering where the market's at. You know, you busted through, was it 2100 on the 21,000, sorry, on the Dow. It was the first time ever, and it finished around 21,110, or I don't know, above 21,100 anyway on the Dow. So it's just kicking along. It's just blasting through new highs, and that sometimes that's a bit of a blow-off effect, but we'll have to see how that plays out. We'll take a look at it in a minute. I can't go anywhere with a bit of a coffee. So how we're all doing anyway today? Enjoying the markets? Bit of fun? So you can see, just while I'm looking at it now, you can see that little washout that we said of 56, and then it's gone and washed out, potentially washed out. We haven't confirmed anything yet. Need a couple of more days just to see whether we're going to break up through 58.25, but that trend up as well and truly intact. Really, it's been held up by 56, but so we want to see really if this is a higher low, and it's going to put pressure to the upside and push up through 58.50 on its way to 6,000, or whether this is just going to build a bit of a lower high. Let's just get rid of that. That's a bit weird. So I'm just having pop-ups across the right-hand side of my window. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes. I think it's all looking very positive. There's obviously, from what he said last night, it's probably been taken kindly by the market. If the US can kick on a bit the next couple of days, that should drag us up and through, and we should steamroll up to 6,000, I'd expect anyway. We'll see how that plays out. So let's just take a look at a few of the stocks, a few of the positions. Obviously, the WBC's kicked on today. It opened up quite strong. You can see that price action. Nothing really of note there. It's still pretty much the same as the ASX. The weekly is looking good though. I see that weekly, it rejected those lows. Just really that push down to 33.50. It's popped back up, taking out those highs slowly, but we have to see if it can close up above these previous highs at 34.38. It's teetering up there at the moment, and it's not in overbought territory, so it's looking quite good. It's still, on the weekly chart, it could still peg up quite a bit higher before that gets into, where it was previously, around 3,400, where it was in that overbought extended. At that stage there, it's not quite extended yet, so it could have a bit more to go, and you can look at the daily, could roll up on the stochastics, get a bit of divergence, make higher highs on the price, and then away we go. It's looking good either way. What else we got? Whitehaven's one that we just having a bit of a look at now. It looks, look, that price action looks great. I think I've got it down here. Here we go. If we can just drill in on that. And you can see that price action looks really nice. Is anyone looking at this here at Whitehaven? I know if you get the alerts, you get that through, and that was sent through probably half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, I think. So you'll see it on the alert, but that's looking good. We just want to see it break up through there, and I think let's just take a look at the weekly too. The weekly is the one that I like as well. I mean, you look at the stochastics there, it's just, holding, the pressure down was really absorbed. And that looks like it can easily continue up through those highs at, say, 330, I think it was, thereabouts, 335. And sort of your next level is really this high back here at about 360, 359, 360. And that could really give it emphasis. You can see those high lows holding on a weekly basis. It looks really nice. So that's enough just to push it up through those highs. And it could take it right up, $5 or so. We just have to see how it plays out. But that's... On the weekly, it's looking great, and the daily's starting to roll up in the stochastics too, holding higher lows, getting up there. I expect it to blast through. That'll probably drag in a few traders through that $3 level. We'll see how that goes. Let me just see what else we got. So I just got my daughter knocking at the door there. What else we got? We got MVP. We've been watching for a while. That's come out with a news event. Just 1 second there, guys. Sorry guys, back again there. Alright, what do we got there? We just looking at MVP. That's you just go to the weekly. I think the weekly looks really nice. You can see that downtrend, that contraction lower. That weekly trend, it had a lot to really, at that point when you're up at 650. Let's just get a bigger chart there. This is one we've been following for a while, and you probably know that we've spoken about it quite a bit. That's not what I want. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. You can see it's holding high lows, but really that key level is around that $3 mark. You had a big push up to nearly $7, and then we contracted lower, so it had a lot of room to go. That was your anchored level, and you can see the MAs were spreading, so it was getting a bit excited with that push up there, probably on the back of that news about Penthrox and getting into the US. Then it started contracting, obviously a bit of profit taking that. And what's happened just recently, while we got this big down candle, we got that push below 5, was that they've come out with news about in the US the FDA approval. I think we spoke about this just on Monday. It's nowhere near as far along as I thought, to be honest. I thought it was getting close to getting approved, but really they're just starting the process. So they're looking at 2020 of getting approval, but that is, I guess, a lot of people are sort of waiting for that push up or that spike up on the back of that. They're going to have to wait a long time. So I think there's just a bit of profit taking. People just getting sick of that. I don't want to sit there holding it for a few years. But really, that technically is looking really nice. You can see that contraction lower is broken with this move up here. Bit of consolidation up here. But what they've come out with today, which has kicked it up today, we get to the daily, is... That's the day I'm looking for. Now they've got a shipment out, another order in the UK and Ireland stuff for their Penthrox as a much larger order than they expected. They haven't given details of the size of the order for that product, but it's looking, either way, what they've anticipated, what they projected for the sales of Penthrox around the UK, Ireland, all that, is they're well ahead of schedule, and it's looking like it's getting taken up a lot quicker than what they thought. So the sales are doing well. It's just a really big positive for the company. And if they look at that's a bit accelerated, I guess, is what you could say. The growth of it, I think the potential, even though the US may be a bit slow to get that FDA approval, I think a lot of traders will start looking at that, saying, well, they've got approved everywhere else. There's a good chance it's going to get through. It may take a bit of time, but in the meantime, they're doing really well with sales across Europe, and that's probably only going to get better. So we really like this one. We really like the potential for it to, hold this high low. This being the high low just above 450. Maybe it's got a bit of work to do, and then they'll slowly drag in more buyers. I think the story's great. Technically, that looks really nice. So this could easily pop up through a bit of a washout of 5, obviously. Holding above. This is a key level now around that 425. Holding above there. Bit of a washout, and that could head north from here. We'll just have to see how it plays out, but it looks really good. What else we got here, guys? Anything else you want to just chuck in? We'll get into the current... Actually, let me just kick over to the currencies. I just want to take a quick look at... We spoke about this. I just want to show you how it turned out. My southeast water. They don't like me. Wait, here we go. This is the 4-hourly chart. So I think if I've got it somewhere here, I'll show you the alert that we sent out not long ago and the reasoning behind it. Let me just get the file. Does anyone see this alert when it come through previously on the pound? Yep. So if you can see that, that's what we sent out as an alert on the pound. I think it was a couple of days ago. Well, I can never remember that. I think it was about 26th, 7th, something like that. What we could see, what we did see was that it had this push up to 127.30, and it's backed right off. Got down to 120.16, and it's had a push up. Tried to get up there, close enough to say it's a retest. And you can see this little wash out of the highs, these previous highs, is a nice little sign just below 27.30. and it was extended up there. So there's a lot in its favour. Then it's sold off, taking out these lows. So what you would expect if it's got some strength in it, it would have held here, held a high low, and then gone. But what it really did was just roll over. We found the base at 123.90, pushed back up to retest 125.78, and then just basically capitulated. Geez, I said that all right. Capitulated. There you are. And what we look for is really signs that there's either buyers or sellers are built up. We've spoken about this before. You want to get it where the majority of the market's heading one way, but you want to see that the technical signs are really starting to hold, and you're expecting them to get flushed back out of the market. And a lot of the times it's a lot of retail traders built up. We've got a few things we look at, proprietary signals that suggested to us there's a lot of buyers that are built up. Not quite as much as the S&P we've mentioned before. The S&P had quite a few. It was like 85% on the long side. Sorry, on the short side. That's why I got flushed up, and they all got flushed out with that big move up recently, and kept getting flushed last night. So it was pretty much the reverse what we're looking at on the pound. Big retest up to this 127, so that was holding. Then you've got another lower high, major lower high, holding at 125.78, and that's confirmed when you get that big push down here. Really, that could have easily held as a higher low here, 123.90, built another inside higher low, and then busted up through 25 and washed them out. But what we're looking for, because we know that there's a few long positions built up, we're expecting that to roll over, and that's what we drew up. Expected a bit of a contraction higher. Let's go to what happened. It did pretty much happen to a T. Really nice price action. So we're still looking for a potential move. It could really, if there's enough longs built up and enough energy in the market where all they're going to get flushed out of the market, they're all trying to sell it back, getting squeezed out of the market, we expect that could really head down, especially what happened overnight and the US gaining ground. US dollar gaining ground is just going to put pressure on the pound, and that could really move it down towards that support again, potentially at 120.16. So from where we alerted, it's up about 100 and something pips, I think, already. So it's looking evidence of retail traders. So what we see, we got a few indicators, and just what we look for. We know that, say, and it's not. Let's just get back. So when there's going to be selling in here, the market's moved down. It's pushed back up. It's pushed back up. You expect a few buying. That's not a bad little sign, really, with that push up to here, 127.30. We know that there's been buying built up, if that's what you're talking about, Michael. So we can see there's been a few retests, and especially this is the most recent price action. I remember this is a 4-hourly chart. It's holding higher lows, but really the key level is up at this 125.78. So just by looking at that chart, there's going to be a few buyers built up, and they're expecting that push back up to 127.30. And then when you get this price action really flushing them back out, and you get taken out that low, and then it was starting to cross, the MAs are crossing down. So that really, for me, it was showing signs that it was confirming a lower high on a major level. So really, at that time, you probably got potential for a higher low or potential for a lower high. So you're really just trying to look at it from that point of view. Sorry, guys. I just had to get rid of that. So we know that there's been a few. Let's get rid of that too. A few phone calls coming through. So we know that there's been a few. It's happening everywhere. I've got it all linked into my iPod as well. Now that one's starting to ring behind me. Yeah, so does that make sense a bit there, Michael? You can just see by this support, the price action is holding higher lows, but the key level is up at this 125.78. So for me, if I was going to take a long position, I want to see it push up through there and then build that high low. But the fact that it doesn't, it pushes up there and busts through, is a good sign that the sellers are stepping in here. Potentially you got all these long positions are holding it. They might have we'll put our stops below this 123.90. We saw that as a key level, and we touched it. They're still holding hope, just at this green candle, there's a couple of red candles still holding out hope. They're just going to push back up. But the fact you can see the pressure's down by the MAs, and that's what we like to see too. So we just know that there's been a lot of buys probably last few days starting to build up. And then we're expecting, if it does break through this 123.90, they're all going to get flushed back out. Now the thing is, we don't know how long how far that's going to take us. Not secret sauce. We do look at a couple of indicators that we developed. Obviously, we're keeping tight to our chest, I think. If that's, it is a little bit of a secret, but really you can see a lot of it. You can see in the charts anyway, and it's really you want. And what we've spoken about quite a few times is high lows. Is the type of price action that we look for is, if we just get it, is, you know, so the market's gone up into, if pushed back off, and it's gone up back up into resistance up here. What we're looking for is the lower high. Actually, let's just draw that up a bit better. So we know that potentially that's our resistance level there. So what we're always, come on, go away. What we're always looking for is to work off a lower high. So that's confirmation when you get up, and like we did here, you know, it's holding high lows up into a resistance level, potential resistance level. We don't know which way it's going to go yet, whether it's going to break up or break down. I mean, no one knows that. We can only really, you know, put the balance of probabilities in our favor to which way we think it's going to go. So what we're looking from there is that lower high to work some short. So if we think it's going to go down, if I was leaning towards that sell side because I saw those guys, you know, basically seeing all this buying coming through. And don't forget, you got a high low. You got that little flush through that low here at 124.15. Little flush through here, and it's starting to build up, starting to hold some high lows. So people would have been looking at that price action going, hang on a sec, this is going to break up through 25.78, starting to build their positions, load up, expecting that break. It didn't happen. And really what was taking effect is that lower high instead. And then what we're looking for from there is really just that lower high to work from that shoulder trade. And that's what developed, or when we caught it here, that was what was developing on the 4-hourly chart anyway. So that's what we're looking for, just knowing that you got a fair few longs built up here. It's not gone in their favor. They're going to have to get flushed out potentially. And just, I'm saying retail traders purely because I know that that's what they're looking for. And that you know where they're going to hold their stops. They're in pretty obvious levels. So they're holding a sell stop below that level because they're expecting it to pop up, and that's where they're going to confirm wrong, and that's where the market's probably going to start squeezing them. So you know that there's going to be a bit of energy to sell. So if you join in the fray there, you've got all your setup, which you said, which you're looking for. You know, the lower high, we're working in the support zone off a double top, essentially. You know, that major lower high here off a major double top up at 27.30. So there's a lot working in your favor. So that's where you're really just selling into it there. You can keep your stop above that 124.87 zone or 120. You know, you can even tighten it up from the lower time frame charts. And then just see what happens, and it's worked out quite well. We don't know how far that's going to go. Is that going to extend down here, and it's always going to go back up and retest 123.90 and then go down again? We don't know. It could be, you know, pulling up short and finding support down at that 122.54 down here. So we just have to see how it plays out anyway. 123.90. Yeah, so if you're what you're looking for now, you wouldn't short it here. I think you sort of missed the boat on that. You want to anticipate potentially from your lower time frame. This is a 4-hourly. You can go down to an hourly or a 30-minute chart maybe to trade it. And just anticipate that breakout. When you get weakness entering the market, you can see that lower high start to confirm. Let's just go down to a 30-minute chart and see what played out. But is that making sense to you, Michael, I guess what I'm talking about? You get that lift up here. And even here, it was still looking like it was potentially lifting again. And look at that time, that was probably somewhere around the US Open, I think. The US Open, it's just flushed them out to the top side. It's brought a few, and then what that's done, it's all holding structure down. Okay, even on the 30-minute chart, the MAs haven't crossed. It's still holding it down. It's still putting pressure on the market. You've got that pop up on the open of around the US session, but still it was holding price action. The price structure was still pointing south. And that's really just bringing in a few buys and then flushing them straight back out. So you've got that little emphasis on the way down. So you could have, you know, anticipated, I guess, breakthrough here through these lows, especially after you saw that type of price action. Wash out here. You know, you've got wider stops on that. And even just in this little, you can see that little, once it's broken through on the 30-minute chart, it's tried to go back up and retest 123.90 in that zone there. And then it's broken down. You could have easily had a little short sell at 123.63. Hold really tight risk above 123.90, and away you go. You've got a good little return there. So that's, you know, you can see how building it from the big looking at the bigger picture and working your way down, you can really refine if everything's looking good. And on the bigger scale, it looks good. And then as you work down, it's still looking good, still looking good. You know, the 30 minutes work in your favor, the 4 hours working in your favor, the daily's working in your favor, the price structure's there, your trade premise is there, and really what you're doing is just really waiting for the setup and drilling it down. And that's what we got. That's the way it worked out really nice. So we're expecting potentially a bit more on this one, but we'll see. All right, let's just go Euro. We won't really look at that. We'll go over to some stocks now. Looking at a few of these shares. All right, guys, if you can just give me 1 second. I'll just get up my. Oh, here we go. All right, so what we had from Clement, and thank you very much, Clement, for sending it in. I just want to go through he's got a little idea on MSN, and I'll just go through my view of it. If you're really getting the hang of what we've been talking about in the past, I don't know, I guess a few months now, if you've been following it for a while, I know a few of you in here have been following it for a bit. What we're trying to get, I guess, the way our style of trading. I think Clement's pretty much got it down. He's sent through a few things now, and pretty much unless he's trading on the side and not winning, just showing me the ones that he likes. But either way, he's starting to really get the hang of it, and he's knowing what we're seeing. Can you just bear with me a second there, guys? I've just got to whip out and see what's going on. I'll come straight back. Back. All right, so we've got, let me just draw this up for you. I think this is a good little trade. It's only done, I mean, the problem with this, only for me, and, you know, looking at it as an alert, it's just the volume. The volume's a bit small. It's a bit on the low side. I mean, I know it could pick up once you get that volume come into it, and it starts taking off, then it could look really good. Well, it looks really good anyway. Let's just go through why. So has anyone got this on their radar by any chance? So it's pretty clear what's going on there. High low around 11, and that's pushed this price right up to 40. So, you know, you got some setups there. You can see that high low. And look, it looks like that's pretty much what's happening now, okay? And what it's always good to see, and really always go back and just see what sort of price action, because, I mean, we know what we're looking for, but sometimes it's got to vary slightly. But you're looking ideally for the higher lows, which is, you know, the MAs, you can see the MAs here are pushing higher. We've got our higher lows. We're just looking for that little push-up. So that's evidence, especially after retest of that 11. You know, you push down to 11, pop back up, made the lower high, retest, and then fail, and it's just taken out this little level here. All right, so that price action is starting to build really nicely. And then you pull back, make that higher low here. The MAs are still pointing up. And what I'm always looking for too is those MAs starting to show signs of spreading. And you can probably find that from the MACD. Haven't got it up here, but you can probably see it if you put in the same. We use a 20 and a 50 EMA. What I've got here, exponential moving averages. And you just want to see signs that they're starting to spread, and you've got that high low. So you've got a few key factors that are playing up, are playing into your favor. And then you can see from here, it's pushed up, pulled back, made a higher low, and it started to accelerate high. And that's what you want to see, you know, that break up through the high. It's pulled back, and then maybe you got those initial more aggressive buys once it started to buy potentially in here, or even a break through that high once you've held the high low through this level here. I'll just take one step back, probably just extend that across, a breaking up through here. They may have bought that here. It's come back and retested their entry. And then you got that second wave after you got that break up through that want to jump in and potentially buying it early or buying, on a breakout of theirs, hold the second high or low, and away we go. And you can see that acceleration where it's starting to become, and this is what we've spoken about before, we want to grab things when it's in the unknown. Okay, because that's where you get your best paydays, I guess, your best risk reward as well. And when it's coming more into the known, so that's pretty much, it's held a base there, it's held a high low, it's busted up through, and that's becoming more of the known, that breakout there. And then, of course, you've got, this price action's really flushed it up, right up to 40 cents. Then you've got that contraction all the way back down. But what it looks like we're starting to do, and just take note of that, is, it's looking along the same lines as the exact same price action. It varied slightly. You've got this little push up, pullback, not far off the 20 mark. It's just popped up through the highs, couldn't go on with it. It's come all the way back down and retested 20 and then started to hold. And that's the high low, pretty much back here. You've got the high low, it started to come out. And then you get in this type of price action. It started to accelerate a bit through that high around, say, 25.5. And then it's just pulling back now. We're in a good little zone where it's just retesting that breakout. So ideally, if you're looking at this one, if you're watching, Clement, I think it's awesome. I really think it's good. It's starting to take out, holding higher lows. The stochastic's in a good area. It's not overbought at all, not overcooked. The pressure's been down. It's getting soaked up, and that's what you just want to see, a bit of a push down, and that's like pressure in the selling, but it's forming that higher low, so the buying is stepping up to the plate. And that's what you're going to see. If buyers, if not interested, there's going to be, that pressure down, just that exact same move on the stochastics, could have brought it a lot lower because the buyers are starting to step away from the market as opposed to looking to jump in at higher prices. So that's shown eagerness in buying, which is good. So really just looking for a bit of a setup, and it could easily, pop up through 27.5, 28. You buy, you're anticipating that break of 30. You're just trying to beat them. You know where your risk is going to be. You're not risking a lot. And just see if you can get a push up to 40. But really, that there, I know there's a lot of lines on my chart, but if you can follow what I was talking about, with your higher lows and that little acceleration pop up in price, and it's pulled back, but that you can just see that is starting to get soaked up. So the emphasis to the upside is a lot better than the emphasis to the downside, if that makes sense. And that's getting soaked up on the way down. So then what you want to see is, maybe people like me that trade it a bit differently are looking for that evidence as that low starting to hold, and then I just want to see it pop up through 28. So then I can pretty much identify exactly where my risk should be. Does that make sense, guys, on that one there? Yeah, and thank you very much, Clement, for sending that through. That was awesome. What else have I got on my list? Is there anything you want to take a look at? Just whack it through. It can be anything. I know we're all pretty much stock traders here, but I know Michael likes to look at the currencies a bit, and we're going to start getting to the currencies a bit more too. I think there's a lot of opportunity on the currencies, so depending on what you trade and how you trade and where you trade, I guess, to whether or not you can actually trade currencies on your platform, or you've got something you can have a go at them for, or if you're just purely stocks. It's always good talking about it anyway. I mean, at the very least, it's a good educational tool as well, because you can see the sort of setups you see on stocks. They're probably a fair bit cleaner. Like, that's nice and clean. That little setup was nice and clean. Probably not quite as clean. You've got to be a bit more careful. The currency market's a lot bigger, and they tend to do things that you're not quite ready for. So if you keep stops tight, you can easily get flushed out. The markets does it. Woof. Are you making a sound there, Michael? Or we'll take a look at that in a sec. I just want to go through SAS, and hopefully it's not going to kick on a lot more, but just the reasoning behind why we got out of it. It could be right, it could go on a bit more, but I guess it's pretty obvious to me. And maybe it's going to be a bit of a, kicking yourself moment, but I don't mind kicking myself if I'm up 100%, close to on that second half. I just got to remember where I got in, 8.6. So we got in somewhere around here, that little break. And we've spoken about why it looked great. You've had that push up here. You can see that contraction lower, breaking out of there. Then we're getting that, and this is the setup we've spoken about a lot of times. Okay, we'll take a look at it in a sec. let me just draw that up a bit better. Won't worry about the volume, actually, we'll get a better chart. I just want a bigger chart, it's a bit clearer. Alrighty. So we've had that push up there, and then what we got is that contraction lower. Alright, and then we got, you know, point down here. If this was going to roll over, it should have held. You know, this should have held this little lower high, and then break down through that level and take out lower high, produce another. Sorry, take out the low here at 7, and should have built pretty, you know, potentially taken another lower low. I'll spit that out eventually, but it didn't. So that's, you know, when we're looking at it here, then it started, you know, that little kick up there. Okay, that's your early sign, and you had another little movement up through to 9 on this little candle here. And then we started holding potentially another high low here. So when we got in it, we were looking through that break, you know, and there was like a, we call it an inside continuation. You know what you're getting. You're coming out of contraction. So we're anticipating, we're getting in early. The price action is, what's going to happen is we're getting into the unknown, like we just mentioned before. Got to spit that out. We're getting into the unknown, all right? And once you get this price action here, that's more of the known, and then you get this little base, build another high low, starting to become the known. You can see that by the acceleration in the candles. All right, it's quite clear what's happening there. Then you're getting maybe a news event's kicked that up, news event's kicked it up. What we want to do is like get into that unknown area. When the volatility starts to come out of the market, it means that you're, when the volatility comes out, the daily price range are a bit smaller. It means you can add in, you can define your risk a lot clearer, and your risk reward can be a lot higher, a lot better. And that's what we got on that one. So if we just go through the reasoning why we got out, is really that's, you know, that's getting overextended. And I think if we go to the weekly, that weekly, I mean, look at that. Somewhere here it's just gone bang, straight up. And if you think that's not overextended, I mean, I know there's been some good news and everything. It's getting overextended. But the last sort of final factors was, I was happy to take it off around there, is one, you know, we done well. We did very well. And two is this. What we look for time and time again is this, what we call volatility projections. You can either take it from here, which took us, I think that was the one. Yeah, a bit of a problem with this one. I can't copy that across to here, but that essentially took us up to around that 17.5 mark. Does that make sense? So you know that that first leg up was here, and when that, you know, it's building from sort of these base down at 2 cents, it built and pushed up to 12. Then we started forming those lower highs, and so that was the end of that leg up. All right, and then you got contraction. We built a major high low, held at 7, and we started getting those high lows building. So we're taking our leg from roughly that area, you know, the 7 zone, project that same distance to the upside, and we're heading up there, and we're looking, you can see the volatility really started increasing as we're pushing up. We're getting extended up there. So look, I was just happy to take off the second half up there, booked 100% or just under, and call it a day on that. I think it looks really, really nice. So does that make sense why we got out? It's probably, look, it could have been, in, we'll just wait and see how it plays out, but it could be in hindsight, I'd be kicking myself, like I said, but you know, that's the kind of thing we're happy with. Would have been ideally nice to take that partial off there. I think we took the partial off somewhere into these highs. So we had that partial just because you never know what's going to happen. We'll just take that. You never know what's going to happen. I always like to take something if it's looking a bit of, it's find a bit of weakness up here. Took it off 11.5, I think. We missed, no, 11. We missed that open because I couldn't get the alert out quick enough. But it spiked up into those highs and started showing signs like it could have rolled over. It wasn't quite extended up there, so we're happy to take that partial, lock in some gains and just see how it went from there. And then we got the rest of it just, you know, spiking up to 17.5, 17, I think we closed out the rest at. So does that make sense, what we're looking for there? But, you know, when the market's sort of going into clear skies, it's always good to have a little bit of it, you know, somehow we work out our profit target like that, you know, by, we call it volatility extensions or projections. The volatility of the leg up. It's a tough word for me to say that one. Volatility of the leg up or that movement of the leg up there. We just want to project from the lows, from that current major high low, and just give us an idea of where it could extend into. And then just when it gets closer, just watch the price action of that around that zone, just to see what happens. So that's the way we do it. Otherwise, you go into the chart. The weekly is not showing me much just there. Going back to the monthly to find a level, and then you can just see this congestion back here too. It was around that same level, below 20. That was way back in 2007. We probably got that big spike up to 30 and then rejecting straight off there all the way back down to 2 or 3 cents. So that there might find a bit of selling. So there's a few things lining up with that analysis anyway. All right. How do we go on that, guys? I'm going to do I was going to talk about S32, but I'll get on to Wolf. Wolf. Wolf Petroleum, is it? Maybe waking up. Maybe starting to growl. Oil in Mongolia. Is this the one there, Michael? And turning into a wolf. Wolf Petroleum. Yeah, look, that's a specky, but there's no doubt in my eyes that that's starting to do something. The only thing is, it's just this. Just looking on the daily, obviously it's extended. I wouldn't buy it here, but you're getting this price action, which is really nice. Looking at the daily too, we've got that little pickup, taking out some of these previous highs, which is nice. Again, the two out of the three, go to the monthlies. Okay, 3 out of 3 charts are starting to look a bit extended to the upside, which could mean there could be a bit more selling pressure coming in. But the thing is, it's come off a major base. If we draw that up. Oh, I didn't want that, did I? It's coming off major support zone right through. Whoop. And it's even just a little washout. Okay, I know that's since 2010, but all this price action is relative. It's popped down here, had a massive gap up. Don't know why, that was looking good. And then all these sort of potential buyers who bought it up here in these few days were looking for it to go up, are just being forced back out of the market. It's come back and retested those lows, just popped through. No real weakness there. I don't know what's happened fundamentally on the stock. If you've got any sort of analysis there, Michael, just whack it in if you can. If you can type fast enough before we get on to something else. But you can see what's is looking good, and that's why you get that little spike up on the this is a weekly, isn't it? Off that low, and that's breaking out of that contraction lower. It's starting to hold higher lows. So really that is starting to look good. You're going to probably contend. Well, I don't even know if we'll get up there because of the way the market's extended. We may need to flush them out. We may need to have a bit of a pullback, flush out some of these buys, and then build a more major higher low and then go again. But we'll see how it goes. It's definitely, you're right, I think it's starting to wake up a bit. Lit. We'll take a look at that, Nando. I know you commented before, Nando, on the lithium, and you like lithium, don't you? I think we had a while ago, I can't remember what the presentation was called. We did a little video presentation, so you can go in the backlogs and just have a look at it if you like. I can't remember from day to day sometimes what I'm saying, but let's just take a look at lit. This is something we got through, I think we got it in here. We had this either through here or through here on LIT, or maybe both. I can't remember. We did trade it and did really well. Really, it was somewhere around 11, I thought. Might have been through here. No, that doesn't make sense. I thought it was in 2016. Oh, we had a few goes at it. The first time was the most successful. Made 35%, and then we lost a couple of percent a couple of times after that. That was in February 2015. 16, is that right? Somewhere around in here. Okay. Yeah, so we bought it somewhere around here and it's kicked on and we didn't get all that. What did we get on that? 21. God, you can see what we left on the table on that one. It's a bit of a shame. So I think we may have been stopped out here. I think if you look, I don't know how, why. I think it's just straight out brain freeze, really. You can see that price action and the way it accelerated up. Really, with this higher low and that held over a couple of months, that should have been enough emphasis not to get out near this previous high, which is pretty much what we did. Pulled that one off the table there, and then it's just kicked on, and you can see pretty much another 50% or so. So that would have been a really nice gainer. Yeah, but either way, that's looking good. Looking to get in again, yeah. It's, for me, there's nothing quite confirmed just yet. Let's go back to the weekly. The dailies could be just rolling over here, and this is what I'd be a bit concerned about. You can see that move up here, regards to with the stochastics, it was overbought, quite a strong move up. Okay, then it's had that pullback. It's made a higher low, and it was overextended to the downside, but it's holding a higher low, so it's going to be interesting to see what's happened. This little move up here was quite hard, and it's been soaked up with selling, so we just have to see. I'd like to see these high lows hold, and you probably want to see high lows hold, obviously, and a bit of contraction where the volatility is coming out of the markets, because that move up there was strong, which is met by a bit of profit taking, but it's had a little kick up there, but really that trend down is not broken. So this could easily roll over, take out 14 and retest, back down towards 12. In saying that, I'll draw it up. I'll draw it up what I like. Yeah. So it looks like we're heading along the same lines there, Nendo, what we're looking for. It's all about setups. I mean, the price action's one thing, but the setup's the second thing. I mean, that's where you get your edge. It's not, I mean, a lot of people can see these high lows. That's quite easy. It's just a lot of people have to just really work on the setups. Don't just sit on, I'm not a big fan of sitting on the bid or just buying it because I think I'm anticipating. I want to see evidence. But definitely that longer term, you had that good high low. It's washed out. We've come down to a zone through, say, 13. There, I washed that out, and it's always really nice. I like seeing that type of price action, washing out previous lows and then bang. And that's good evidence, strong buyers coming to the market. Just see, well, look, it is starting. It's early signs, really early signs. So potentially that's taken out these highs. It could be coming out. So we need to see these high lows hold. That's the key for me just at the moment. High lows hold. Potentially if we get up through that, it could be a nice little entry, just depending on where we are on the stochastics. For me, I don't like to buy on those breakouts with, when it's an overbought territory, purely because that would mean to me there's not going to be as much follow through in buying, and it may mean we get a deeper correction. We've spoken about this time and time again. The market moves up, pops up, we get this high low, we get a because attacking these types of setups, when you get that high low in here off a correction, that's correction. We're talking about correction. Get the high low, which we potentially got here, buying that breakthrough here, just on that previous lower high, and then really it's got to do if we're in overextended territory to the upside when we break out, it could fall short. We might find some resistance here and then just pop up and then bang, and then it needs to do a deeper correction than that. Does that make sense? And then start longer term holding to work its way back up. That's what we're looking for. So ideally, if it's coming, it's been sold quite hard like this, potentially sold hard, and then you get that breakout when it's that's extended on the stochastics, it's getting to oversold territory, and then you get that breakout. There's a lot of room to move. I mean, there could be a lot of pressure to the upside, could really accelerate that move higher, and that's ideally what we want to see all the time. And we may or may not just yet. I think it's early days just yet. We may or may not be getting that right here. It's just I'd like to see. Just take all this off the. All right. I'd like to see. Actually, let's just draw it here. I'd like to see if that's our little 8E mark. I'd potentially just like to see it probably oscillate maybe retest towards this low, or even that's a level. Well, it's not working, is it? Too much coffee, my hands are getting the shakes. And that's how low we ideally want this low to hold, which is down at, say, around 14. Just like to see a bit of contraction in here, potentially. Maybe between there, and then start to wash out 18. If we get that little push up through 18 and then can get a pullback, bang, I think that'll go. Because that'll really start bringing in buyers, and you've got, this downtrend here could potentially be broken. I just think it should, you can see that by these two, that contraction here, lower lows and a higher low potentially. I think it's got a bit of work to do, but I definitely see potential in that one anyway. And thank you. I will keep that on the radar too, Nandor. Anything else, guys? Just see where we're at. Market's still up 62. I think it's going to just sort of hold these levels up here. See what the US does tonight. All right. SAS, it's going to go. It's going to go without me now, isn't it? Doesn't matter. WBC, liking that. We haven't got too many. We've taken profit on a few. We're up at 10 alerts running. Got stopped out of a few. Made a couple of good profits, especially on SAS. So we're down to about 3, and we are looking for White having to kick up. So if they can kick up, that'll make it 4, I think. And yeah, we'll just start to build up those positions again, especially if this ASX starts having another run up. But we'll see. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, nothing else you want to have a look at, might just call it a day there. One thing that's worth looking at is just Macquarie. I noticed this morning. I think I'll the thing is, it's had a really strong leg up, obviously, from 2012 all the way through for a few years, really strong. Bit of a blowout up the top here, and then we got some selling pressure, but it's all the way back down to the same zone below 60. And then since then, it's pretty much last year held higher lows, and we're up to these highs again. So on the weekly basis, we're in a good, we could have easily enough room to move on the top side. Sorry, on the upside, top side. It's a leg of lamb or beef or something. On the daily, that could easily, force out these, bring in some more buyers, I guess, through 88, 50 thereabouts. I think these previous highs. I'm not too keen on them just because of the way it's gapped up today, but it is, for any longer term trade, that's looking good. Got some high lows are holding, maybe getting a bit away from those high lows. It may just rush up into 89 and then find some selling. We'll just have to see how it goes, but one just to keep an eye on. Is that ALU? It's Altium. ALM, is it? No. I'll tell you what, I'll just do it. I should know this, I'm pretty sure I know this. AJM. Sure. Yeah, I was enjoying that for a while there, but then we started getting this price action. We've just been knocked out of our alert today at 16. I wanted it to hold this 17 mark, then we started getting a bit of pressure here. That pop up to 19 really didn't do anything. So this one could easily, actually we'll just draw this up. It doesn't mean we're over it. And there's a couple of good things working in its favour. It's just a really slow mover. It's doing a few $100 grand. That's a solid uptrend there. And you've taken out these. That's why we got into it really. Just took out, held those higher lows here, and had a bit of a flush out here. Another higher low, and then pop up to 19, where it's just been sold off now. It could just be retreating back to, roughly that 15 area. And you can see the stochastics. You can't get much lower than that. It's pretty much overextended to the downside just at the moment. We may get a bit of a little burst, a bit of a flush out, and then pop back up. We'll have to see how that goes, but if that starts showing signs of continuing, another high-low builds, then we'll probably be starting to take a bit of a look at that. I mean, just look at that there, just take into account that it could be all in the context of longer-term contraction, so it could get a bit choppy in the longer term. I don't think we're going to get a leg like this until we pop up out of this contraction. But I think it could have a bit more work to do, all in all. But it's showing, showing some good signs. Anyway, well, that's it for that one. We'll knock it on the head there, guys. We'll call it a day. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything, we'll be back on Monday. RFX. I haven't looked at that for a while. What's that doing? Yeah, but it's moving from being oversold. That price structure is not very good at all. Just go take a few. Yeah, well, the problem with this one, it's held higher lows, held the high lower in here, took off here, and then really it's come all the way back down. Bang, heavy selling back down to 20. Potentially it's rejecting 20, but I don't like, if that's a positive, I don't like to see that. You want to see it hold a higher low up here. Higher low, that sort of curving action. You want to see that if you think it's going to take out 65. That price action there, not good. I think it's got a lot of work to do. Ideally, anyway. It's probably a bit better to see on the monthly. It's getting overextended to the monthly side. Something to watch though, for sure. It's this latest little flush out that I don't like too much. I want to see that pop out through these little highs around 27 or so, and then build some higher lows. Get everyone else to do the work for me rather than me jump in and do the work and get chopped up. All right, we'll call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you enjoy what you see and you do like it, just if you can leave us a like at the end of the stream, or even leave a comment, everything's welcome. Like I said, we're just trying to build this community. So any trades too that you may have that you want to chat about, put them up there. Let's just talk about them. It could be anything. I don't mind. We'll analyse it. If you don't believe what I'm saying, that's fine. Doesn't bother me too much. It'll make me cry. But yeah, we'll just we'll chat about it. So I think it's going to help everyone. But yeah, we'll get into it, guys. See you again on Monday. Thanks for joining me, and have a good weekend. See you guys. Bye.